Welcome back, WNST week around here. I don't know what else to say. Getting back from London, the death of my cat, the Las Vegas massacre, the loss of Tom Petty. The Ravens have been losing, the knee, the controversy. I don't even know where to begin. And amidst all of this comes this little red beacon of light known as hockey season for some of us. Not a moment too soon for anyone that's watched the Orioles, and certainly grieving the Ravens or grieving with the Ravens or beefing with the Ravens or whatever it is, but certainly not good football right now. Ed Frankovic, tell me that this finally is the year when the Washington Capitals are going to win Lord Stanley's Goblet.
Certainly hope so, don't we, Ness? I'll tell you one thing. Unlike the last 2 years, this team is not going to be the team that's touted to win the Cup. I can tell you that for sure. They are not going to have the pressure they've had, at least externally, that they've had the last couple of years. Now, internally, there's always pressure. And, I've been around sports teams for a lot of years, and there's always pressure to win. Teams want to win, and this team certainly has the talent to do it. It's been a different preseason, and we can get into some of the machinations of the roster and how we're going to be set for Thursday night in Ottawa. But certainly the limelight, the pressure, the external microscope is going to be a lot less. There's certainly some people rooting against the Caps around the league, it just happens. But they believe they have a team that can win, and whether that happens or not, we will see. But it's going to be a different regular season than in the last 2 years.
All right, well, let's go through all of this. Obviously the Ovechkin will be measured more than anyone else, and they've had a really choppy preseason. Not that any of that matters, but they haven't looked pretty good here in the preseason, have they?
No, they haven't, and I was down at the Carolina game a week or so ago, and it just you could see, and Ovi played that night, and Backstrom played. You could just see that the energy level wasn't there, and in some of the Capitals defense, they're doing a lot of evaluations. There's a lot of guys, there's a lot of job openings on this team for the first time in years. And that's starting to shape up. And the top end guys weren't playing a lot. They weren't playing together a lot. So you really couldn't get a good barometer of what's going on. Now I will say Ovechkin has definitely slimmed down. I did see him up close, and I saw him in the game, and while he may not look like he's faster, and I think part of that is just he's trying to ease his way into the season, he definitely has shed some pounds, and I think you'll see him faster. And once they get that intensity, hockey's an emotional game, and I've played it, not at the level these guys have played it, but if you're not emotionally invested in a hockey game, you're not going to win. You're not going to play well, and I really believe that's a lot of what happened with a lot of these players that aren't fighting for jobs in the preseason.
All right, Ottawa, and then the opener on Saturday night against the Habitants. Some thoughts about what you're looking for early in the season here. The one thing that we've gotten used to the last couple of years, and quite a lot during the Ovechkin era, is this crazy 13-2-1 start, right? And they jump out to an 8-point lead, and coasting the President's Cup. All of that's all nice, and we've seen this team turn it on early in the year 2 years ago, middle of the year last season. I don't need to see anything spectacular, but also, much like last year, they did sort of limp around in October a little bit, as I remember it. And when they do that, everyone says, well, what's wrong with them, right?
Yeah, yep. People want perfection, and it's just not possible in professional sports, and there's a salary cap, and that's why this roster is different. I think one of the things they're going to rely on this year is they're built very strongly down the middle. You look at their centers. You got Nicholas Backstrom, you got Kuznetsov, and you got Lars Eller, and you've got Jay Beagle. That's as good as any set of four centers in the league there. And Pittsburgh lost their third and fourth line center. And then on defense, they have some quality guys coming back, and that Orlov Niskanen pairing, and John Carlson is back, and he's in a contract year, so I'm expecting big things from him. And then they're trying to figure out where the other pieces are. And Sunday against St. Louis in the last preseason game, Trotz basically put Brooks Orpik back up in the top four because the guys fighting for positions, Aaron Ness, Christian Hughes, and Taylor Chorney, and then you have Madison Bowie. Although Bowie didn't play on Sunday, no one's really stepped up. I have liked the way Madison Bowie has played. I really feel like he deserves to be on the team. I feel like he's earned a roster spot. But there's this whole salary cap, sending guys through waivers that you could lose, and Madison Bowie's one of these guys you can send to Hershey and not blink an eye. He's not going to get claimed, where Christian Hughes and Aaron Ness and and even Taylor Chorney to an extent, they could get claimed. And but there's a lot of other teams that have defensemen that have to go through waivers. So I'm really hoping that the Capitals just pick what they think are the best 7D they're going to keep and go with those. And I really think Madison Bowie has made it. And then you get to the goaltending, no worries in net. And Holtby and Philip Grubauer have faced a lot of shots in the preseason, and they're ready. Those guys aren't going to have these games where they're seeing 15 to 20 shots like they have in years past, Ness, because the Capitals are younger in some areas, and they're going to face some rubber. And the Capitals have taken a lot of penalties, too, in the preseason. That's something they're definitely going to have to clean up. I don't know how much preseason you've seen, but they've changed the rules, and they've been very strict on enforcing them in preseason. You and I have seen that in years past. The question remains, will they continue to do that into the regular season?
Give me a little primer on the league. We all know the Caps have taken a quarter of a step back or a half step back, and certainly for anybody out there that's followed the travails of the Pittsburgh Penguins the last couple of years, or even the Chicago Blackhawks, these sort of perennial teams that it really doesn't matter how many games they win in the regular season, they're going to be the teams that are going to be considered tough. And there's 5 teams in each conference right now that you would say, unless there is a meltdown, they're going to make the playoffs, and the Caps are one of those teams.
Yes, definitely. And I think this year you could say, in the last couple of years, you could definitely say, well, Washington and Pittsburgh on paper, 2 best teams, right? And they're going to battle it out, and that's what happened. Basically, the Stanley Cup final has been in the second round the last couple of years, in my book at least. And Pittsburgh took some losses, but they're still very good. They lost Marc-Andre Fleury in net, but they went out and they got Antti Niemi, a Stanley Cup goalie with Chicago. Several years back when the Blackhawks won their first cup in 2010. He's their backup now. I think where Pittsburgh's going to have their biggest losses, they lost Nick Bonino to Nashville, their third-line center, and Matt Cullen to Minnesota. And as you know, those 2 guys really, really killed the Capitals in the playoffs the last couple of years. But they are getting Chris Letang back on the back end. So Pittsburgh is still the favorite, I would say. In years past, they might say Capitals on paper. Pittsburgh's probably the team on paper, the favorite. Toronto is certainly up and coming. The team the Capitals battled with in the first round last year. They added Patrick Marleau from San Jose, and these kids are another year experience. But there's also going to be that Toronto media pressure. Now, much like the Ravens get a lot of pressure from the media.
Dude, they're going to be fun to watch, though. That's sort of like when the Dallas Cowboys get good. It's kind of fun to watch one way or another, right?
Yeah, the 2, Ness, the 2 most fun teams to watch in the league, I think, will be the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. I am really excited to watch McDavid with another year under his belt. I really think this guy is going to take over the league this year. And he already kind of did last year, but he is so good. He's so fast and, played up in that Edmonton market. You don't get to see him a whole lot, but boy, this kid is special. And everybody I talk to around the league is like, this guy is going to be at a whole nother level. And Sidney Crosby's going to be turning that baton over to McDavid here soon because this kid is something. Edmonton's going to be a fun team to watch out west. It'll be interesting if they can get some goaltending and their D continues to improve. They're going to be a scary team, and they could be a force coming out of the West. Nashville, very, very good again. They added Bonino, like I said. They lost James Neal. Philip Forsberg's got another year under his belt. That defense the Predators have with Subban and Ellis and that whole and Yossi, they're so strong. So I think Nashville and Edmonton are the 2 teams that kind of like the most out west. Minnesota's got another strong team again, and then you got to figure the Blackhawks will find a way to get in there. Although the salary cap has certainly decimated them. Everybody's got flaws, but there are a lot of teams. Speed is what the league is now these days.
You are going to Las Vegas this weekend because it's what you do. My birthday week usually. Any notion of taking in a hockey game out there this weekend?
Well, they are on the road, it turns out, Ness, so I'm not going to get to see the Vegas Golden Knights opener. I would love to. Had they been home,
well, you'll be in a casino watching it, though, right?
Absolutely, and I will be putting a few not Benjamins, but maybe I'm not a big better, maybe a couple
Abes.
A couple Abe Lincolns on some games, and Vegas. I think they're opening with Arizona, who I think is going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and so. You could see Vegas start out with a couple wins playing Arizona. I don't think Vancouver is going to be very good either. I don't like their roster. So there's Vegas is going to get some wins, but I think George McVie's built that team. I think he could have built a better team in the expansion draft, but I think he's built that team to improve their draft position the first couple of years and build through the draft and really build a solid nucleus. So, but it's going to be fun being in Vegas opening weekend where the new team is.
Well, you know what? And the tragedy earlier this week in Vegas, and you and I, we spent so many great nights out there in the diamond in the desert. I had to look up when the Caps were there. And, I have not tried to piece anything crazy like a 30-30 together for February or March like I did a few years ago before Jen got sick. But I did look to see like when the Caps are in Vegas. And it turns out it's December 23rd. It's literally the day, like the Ravens play that day. The whole league's playing that day. The Caps are in Vegas for Christmas, which is weird.
Yes, they have that game, and then they, the way it is now, they get that 3-day break, I think. So I imagine they're going to play, and then, whoever's coming back to this way will get on the charter and fly back. But I imagine a bunch of guys will get their own flights and get out of there because you can get in and out of Vegas at any time, as you well know. But yeah, just horrific what's happened there this week. Very sad waking up to that news on Monday morning, and I'm hoping it doesn't ruin my trip out there, and doesn't dampen the spirit. I know that Vegas did cancel their big celebration they were going to have on Fremont Street to kick off the season. Their Fan Fest was going to be out on Fremont Street, but they rightly canceled that. Let's face it, they have bigger things to deal with. So just rough week for Vegas, but hopefully they get a couple wins this weekend and get off to a good start. The Capitals, the same thing in Ottawa on Thursday. Very, very tough game. A goaltender in Craig Anderson, who really was the reason that Pittsburgh-Ottawa series went to 7 games and to overtime. Erik Karlsson, of course, broke a foot in that series, and he's just a stud on the back end for the Senators. They have a very good hockey team, a very fast team. This is going to be a hard game for the Capitals. Then they come home, and it's Montreal on Saturday. The return of Carl Alzner, now wearing the famous Montreal sweater. So, really tough start for the Capitals. I mean, they really need to get their game together. They did not have a good preseason. They did close out with a good win in St. Louis with 4 even strength goals. But again, the top guys really haven't shown up, and they're going to need to find their intensity very quickly against 2 very good hockey teams.
Yeah, it's kind of an active month all the way around. Ottawa, Montreal, then down to Tampa. Pittsburgh comes in next Wednesday. Don't look up, but right away it's Penguins and the Caps. Then a weekend trip to New Jersey, and they play the Flyers on my 49th birthday, Ed. No, I'm not considering it, but I did consider it for a minute or two. So I can't let the Flyers wreck my 49th birthday. I can't have that,
Well, you, my wife, my sister, some of my best friends were born in October. I really think you picked the best month sports-wise with everything's going on. The World Series, football.
Well, the World
hockey.
Series used to be played on my birthday, like October 14th. Now it's played like sometime in November, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
It's all about the dollars, Nest, these days. But yeah, your birthday to beat the Flyers. I mean, that would be a great birthday present for you because you know how much I love the Flyers.
Well, they've all beaten us once or twice along the way, and we've never come home and rung the victory bell. Hopefully this is the year. Ed, we will be checking in with you frequently throughout the season, as we always do. You can follow Ed Frankovic out on Twitter at Ed Frankovic, and, of course, at WNST.net. He's also Ed at WNST.net if you need to reach him for anything Rock the Red oriented. People are still feeling the purple and the orange afterglow of last place here, Ed. We need a little cheer 'em up. Maybe the Caps are the tonic for what ails us, huh?
Yeah, and if they don't get it going, we'll have to get on our buddy Barry Trotz and say, hey, let's get it going. You got to save the sports world around here because it certainly has been dark lately. And
they can't do anything until April, man.
That's true as well, yep.
It's all preseason until then. Ed Frankovic, our all-the-time Caps insider, historian, blogger, longtime statistician, and my friend since 1985. It's true. You can find me in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper delivers directly and digitally to your email inbox each and every morning, free of charge, all powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me on the interweb. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel, and mourning the loss of Tom Petty. Unbelievable that I said that. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.